Yep, it's getting a little long, getting a little scruffy. We got to get done with this whole COVID-19 thing. I got to get to the barber. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome back again to the Dad Cave channel. I hope all of you are safe and healthy and staying at home and not going out. On today's episode, I'm going to share with you my bar build. I finally started it like I mentioned to you before. So sit back, grab a beer, and enjoy. I'm going to enjoy mine right now. So let me real quickly just walk you through the build for this bar. This was the final drawing, the final rendering of, or the final product of what this bar was supposed to look like. That's changed. This is not how it's going to look when we're done. Believe it or not, this bar has changed design probably about 5 or 6 different times. And this is no exception. It's changed again since the drawing of this. Reason for that is I was going to use bridle joints on the legs for this bar to create, I was going to create a strong joint, but I also thought it would look really cool to have bridle joints on this. Unfortunately, with the 4x4s that I'm using, I don't have a easy, clean way of cutting bridle joints that I'm aware of, that I know of, that I can make sure that I have strong, solid, flush joints. So instead, what am going to do is I'm going to use mortise and tenon joints. I have a plunge router, I have a dado stack. I can make mortise and tenon joints to create all the joints for this bar. So instead of using 4x4s all around for the legs, I'm going to use a combination of 4x4s and 2x4s. We'll take 2x4s going across the length of the bar to create the shelves, and then also 2x4s on the width or on the profile side of the bar. I'm going to have 2 shelves here. That's going to include wine storage, and I'm going to add in 2 shelves down here for bottle storage, glassware. Wine refrigerator is going to go in the center with additional storage in the middle. I've already gone and cut some of the material for this build. I've already cut the legs. That was done off camera. And next I'm going to start cutting the length for the 2x4s that will create the supports, both for the length and width of the bar, and then I'll start laying out my mortise and tenon joints. One of the other things that I did to prepare for this build is I went ahead and I created a story stick for tenons. And I went ahead and laid out the markings for where the tenons would be on the 2x4s, so that this way I could use that in laying out the mortises on the 4x4 leg supports. So definitely makes the process a lot easier, a lot faster, and there's less measuring that has to be done. And also it helps in trying to make sure that I have accurate markings and layouts. I'm cutting the 2x4s that I'll need for this bar. These will serve as the cross pieces for the face and also profile side of the bar. Next, I'm going to mark the location of the center of the 4x4s. I'm going to use this center line to match up to the center line that I drew on this 2x4, so that I can use that to lay out the location of the mortises. So with the location of all the mortises marked on the legs of the bar, it was time to go ahead and use my plunge router to cut them out. Initially, when I started the mortise, I went and cut the beginning and end of the mortise, and I made sure I cut that to depth, so this way I had a guide to use while I was cutting out the middle portion of the mortise, so I wouldn't go beyond what the mortise length needed to be. Unfortunately, my router does not come with a straight edge guide. I could have taken the time to create a jig, I guess, to help in assisting to cut out the mortises, but I went ahead, did it freehand. The first couple ones were a little bit shaky. They weren't the best, and I did have to go and clean them up later. But all in all, as time went on, the mortises got better. They were pretty straight, and it worked out pretty good, as you'll see later on in the video. So no fancy technique or tools here. It was just a simple file to go over all the tenons on the 2x4s and just to help clean them up, smooth them out, and round over the edge of the tenons so that it fits nicely inside the mortises, so I have a nice tight fit. So you didn't see this in the video, but when I was assembling all the pieces, I did make sure to use my framing square so that everything would be square and flush. The other thing I did to help hold the pieces in place while the glue was drying was I did go ahead and drop in a few nails with my nail gun to help hold those joints in place and make sure that everything stayed square while I was assembling it. Alright, so as you can see, the bar is built. I've got it stained, and couldn't show you the full build of the bar, unfortunately. Space in my shop comes with a premium, and I have entirely too much in here right now to sit there and try and set up a camera and film the whole assembly of the bar. But all in all, it went over pretty well. Had a couple of joints that I had to kind of mess with. I had the mortises weren't quite cut to width, and I had to shave down some of the tenons as well. A couple little minor fixes, but other than that, worked out pretty well. It was my first time actually doing mortise and tenon joints. I've never done that before. I think it came out pretty good. So let me know what your experiences are. Have you done mortise and tenon joints? How did it come out the first time you tried it? Any tips or tricks you guys might have, I'd love to hear them. Just drop them in the comments below. But anyhow, the next video is going to include the shelves for the bar, and also I'm going to be putting up some details on the side just to kind of give it a more finished look. And then third video will be just the bar top itself. And then hopefully, if this whole quarantine stay at home and chill thing is done, maybe a video of a Bevmo trip or something like that, where we actually go stock the bar, because I've got quite a bit at home already. But clearly this monster is going to need a whole lot more alcohol, so stick around for that. Looking forward to that trip. But anyhow, with that, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, make sure you quarantine, chill, and stay at home and build something, because Dad said so.